Welcome back to Caffeine Confessionals. My name is Allan, and today we are going back in time. The date is January 16th, 2018. Episode 3 of the Challenge Vendettas is set to air, and what fans don't know yet is that they are about to watch one of the worst eliminations in Challenge history. Instead of getting an epic fight between two best friends of similar size, strength, athleticism, and pullout game, what we got was a battle of futility in which both players went out looking like bumbling, uncoordinated fools. They are made fun of to this day in comment sections randomly about this elimination. No matter what they accomplish in their careers, people will come back to this elimination and make fun of them. It is quite clear that I am referring to the penalty shootout between Nelson and Corey, in which they performed so poorly, TJ Lavin had them shoot on an empty net because he couldn't imagine them getting a ball past another person. While the elimination itself was embarrassing to watch and the visuals alone garnered enough consideration to be one of the worst, if not the worst elimination in Challenge history, that doesn't tell the whole story. No. We have to talk about the context building up to this moment. We need to talk about the after effects that this elimination had on the franchise as a whole, and the fact that production set these players up to fail. When examining how bad this elimination was, the first question we have to answer is how did we get here? And how did we get here starts with the beginning of the Challenge Vendettas. Now, as mentioned in a previous video, the season that preceded Vendettas 3030 was considered a failure as not a single episode hit 1 million live viewers despite the fact that they had tripled the prize pool, brought back older cast members, and spent a ton of money on promotional efforts. This forced MTV to think on their feet and be like, well, how do we get more viewers back on this show that we put so much effort into? MTV went to the drawing board and they decided, instead of scraping the bottom of the barrel of Are You the One / Real World cast members that they had not brought on yet, might as well go across the seas. Bringing in players from the UK added a much needed spark to the franchise, and they decided, let's not stop there. Let's not just go across seas. Let's go across networks. We're going to go to CBS and bring in some Big Brother players to add a whole new set of eyeballs to our franchise. The casting choices were an immediate success, as within the first 2 episodes, Kyle had multiple girls fighting over him. Joss won the first daily challenge in impressive fashion. Melissa was a firecracker, and Natalie had her showmat / storyline with Johnny Bananas. And most importantly, the 2 episodes outperformed Dirty 30 in total viewers despite having less promotion and the fact that Dirty 30 itself ended with pretty low ratings. Talking about episode ratings is not exciting, but I do find it particularly interesting when discussing and evaluating how bad this elimination was. In terms of how this elimination was politically set up, in the second daily challenge of the season, Nelson came in last place. Because of this, he was automatically set into elimination. Who won the daily challenge? It was Brad, Kyle, and Johnny Bananas. As the Troika, they had to nominate 3 people for elimination. Victor from Big Brother was nominated as a rookie. Tony was nominated because him and Brad had Twitter beef over an argument that Tony and Cara had on Dirty 30. And then, of course, Bananas nominates Corey for elimination because the two had been essentially feuding since Corey debuted on Bloodlines, most notably coming to a head on Dirty 30, where Corey announced his hit list with Bananas as the #1 target on it. Before the season, MTV even tried to hype the hell out of this rivalry by putting the 2 of them on the Times Square billboard next to each other and making you believe that this was going to be a season-long Bananas vs. West-esque rivalry. The opportunity to put Corey against Nelson in the first elimination was too juicy for Bananas. But on the other side of the game, Nelson and Corey tried to politic their asses off. They cut a deal with Kyle to vote in either Tony or Victor, knowing that Brad was on their side. To end the episode, they have the players go to the elimination arena, the Troika makes their official votes, and Kyle reneges on his deal, voting Corey into elimination, and now we have 2 best friends forced to face off in elimination after being blindsided by a rookie UK player. The episode ends in a cliffhanger, and they drop the trailer for the episode next week in which we see the elimination, and it looks epic. The ball is on fire, and fire inherently makes things cooler. Well, actually I guess it makes things hotter, but you get the point. On top of that, we were getting to see Nelson versus Corey 1v1. We had already seen Nelson versus Hunter and Hunter versus Corey. We had never gotten Corey versus Nelson 1v1, and this elimination could potentially end the debate of who the best young buck was. While cliffhangers normally suck, this cliffhanger built anticipation into getting fans to tune in the following week as over 1 million people tuned in. It was the first time a challenge episode had broken 1 million live viewers since the finale of Battle of the Exes 2, which was about 3 years earlier. And now that we know how we got here, it's time for part 2. We have to break down the actual elimination itself. It is a best of 5 penalty shootout where the ball is on fire and the players are wearing flame retardant suits to make sure that they do not catch on fire. But both players have never played soccer in their life before. Nelson takes the first shot and it is wide left. The crowd erupts in laughter as it is closer to hitting them than going into the goal. It sets the tone that at best this is going to be a comedy elimination. An underrated detail is that Corey's first kick is actually pretty solid, but Nelson makes a good save on the ball. Nelson's second kick is somehow worse than the first one. It barely even makes it halfway between him and Corey, let alone getting near the goal. Corey ensures Nelson is less embarrassed as his second shot is far left, nowhere near the goal. It doesn't get better. Nelson keeps shooting balls far left and Corey keeps shooting balls far over the goal. Neither player is close and TJ is forced to blow the horn. TJ informs them they will be going to sudden death and shooting on an empty net. Essentially, the first player to miss gets eliminated. Nelson takes his first shot at an empty net and it is a soft kick up the middle and goes into the goal. The crowd's jaw is dropped, and honestly it is shocking because none of his shots prior to this one had come anywhere close to the goal itself. Corey attempts to do the same thing, saying he's just going to tap it in, but he doesn't put enough oomph on the ball, and to make matters worse, if you notice the ball trails off right at the end, meaning he wasn't even on target. And that's the elimination. Nelson is named the winner, and with that victory, he joined the short list of players to have ever won 5 consecutive eliminations. It was not a pretty victory, but it still counts. Corey, who was put on the Times Square billboard, hyping him up as one of the faces for the season, is gone at the beginning of episode 3. After going through the elimination, we move on to part 3, the aftermath. And for starters, let's talk about Team Young Buck. If you love this alliance, God, this was a rough elimination to watch because both players got embarrassed. Jemmy was making fun of their athleticism. Jemmy of all people. Now, Nelson was the least affected player by this elimination because number 1, he would go on to have an epic elimination battle with Darrell that would kind of make you forget about this moment. 2, he would say ridiculous stuff like needy greedy that would just make you laugh. And 3, he won the elimination. I will say though, there are Nelson haters out there where when you mention that he's a strong player, they will bring up the fact that he can't kick a soccer ball. For Corey, this elimination loss was devastating as it strengthened the arguments of haters like myself that he was just a popcorn muscles athlete. Meanwhile, in 2021, Corey has legitimately become one of the best players on the show. He made the final of Total Madness, just dominated Darrell in elimination on Double Agents, and seems likely to make his second consecutive final. Corey has finally become the player they put on a billboard, but it's a bit too late. Those losses stack against you, and people will always remember that guy. Unless you pull out a championship, you're always going to be that guy to them. In terms of impact on the show, just look at the viewership. It went from 1,020,000 viewers to 740,000 viewers the following week, a 280,000 viewer swing, and that's because they were disappointed by the elimination. Now on to part 4. Producers set Corey and Nelson up to fail. They vastly overrated the average human's ability to kick a soccer ball. Unless you have a soccer background, you are not doing well in this elimination. This is one of the worst designed eliminations I've ever seen. Now, I apologize if this next portion sounds preachy or elitist, but I'm only talking from a place of self-experience. When it comes to soccer, I played for 11 years of my life, from ages 8 to 19. I played competitively on all-star teams and was good enough to make my high school varsity team and start. I'm not saying I was a college or even pro-level player, because I'm definitely not close to that, but I played soccer all of my life, went through camps, etc., and even today as an adult, I've coached people in soccer. From coaching a lot of beginners, I can tell you this. Most human beings cannot kick a soccer ball. They believe they can because they've kicked a ball once or twice in their life and maybe they sent it far away, but that does not mean they know how to kick it powerfully with accuracy. You can tell in the elimination, Corey knows how to kick a ball hard, but he doesn't know how to kick it accurately. Meanwhile, Nelson doesn't have either down. The second problem I have with this elimination is the spot where they're taking their shots is legitimately far from the goal. In an actual soccer game, this would be considered outside the box. A penalty shot would be where I have the circle located and where the ring of fire obstructing their view is. That ring of fire itself also obstructs the player's shot like crazy. It is a physical object, so not only do you have to try and get the ball past the goalie with a hard, accurate shot, you must make sure you don't hit the barrier either. Third, the most important and underrated factor is that they are kicking these balls on sand. I can barely shoot a ball accurately on sand. It took playing multiple games in a soccer beach tournament for me to even get the hang of it. It is a whole different element to be able to wrap the ball at the right angle, powerfully and accurately. It's just hard. I don't know how to explain it to you. There's just a lot of different factors. The fact that you don't have firm ground to kick off of, it's hard. And then these guys have not played soccer before. There is obstruction in their view. They're kicking it from far away, and the ball is on fire. This elimination is ridiculous. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is that this elimination wasn't Nelson or Corey's fault. They tried their best, they looked like fools, and if MTV's goal was to make them look like fools, they succeeded, but it wasn't their fault at all. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you can, drop a like and a subscribe on the channel, and comment what worst elimination you would like me to talk in detail about next.